Thank you. Neil Hare with Global Vision Communications. We do a lot of outreach into the small business community, including in pro-export and export education. Could the panel address sort of the different viewpoints of large companies, Fortune 500 versus the smaller businesses, and also specifically drill down on some of the initiatives to get the small business community both behind this from a public affairs grassroots standpoint, and also how we can educate them even further to get more of these companies exporting with TPP and in general. Thank you.
So 2013, there was an HSBC study. I think they did a regional study of companies across the U.S. This refers to data from their analysis of companies in the Northeast. Companies that export, their profit margins are 5% higher than companies that don't. The average wages are X% higher than companies that don't. And your valuation as a company in terms of M&A is significantly higher if you export than if you don't. So there's 3 data points to consider.
Yeah, I sort of add along. I think to your point about the public affairs narrative is that I think in this country there is a disconnect. And I think that by and large, the general public and perhaps even policymakers don't understand that exporting benefits largely go to small and medium-sized firms. I use Virginia as an example, one, because I'm from there, I own property there, and in Jarvis here, 81% of the companies that export are small from Virginia. So I think part of what we have to do in the country generally is affect this narrative that helps folks understand that, exporting an international business largely helps small and medium-sized companies, service-based ones in this country in particular, but also that FTAs in particular are vehicles that mostly help small and medium-sized businesses. Large companies, they have the ability in a lot of respects to affect change in policy. But FTAs help create sort of a level playing field and make it easier and frankly less time-consuming for small and medium-sized businesses to better understand the markets and the rules of the road with respect to entry into those markets. And when you're dealing with volume, as we do in Virginia and the other states, we frankly don't have the type of capacity on the international economic development side as Virginia, that FTAs helping to make sort of the playing field simpler is something that we cannot discount, because companies, one, it's difficult enough for them to sort of move away from their day-to-day operation, which takes up 90% of their time to think about foreign markets and then expansion. But having a more clear understanding of what's going to be required of them makes it that much easier. So I think FTAs, particularly ones focused on the growing parts of the world and the world's purchasing power, are critically important to growing jobs here in the United States, particularly for small and medium-sized firms.
Adding to that, the administration before I did several in-depth surveys of small businesses to kind of catalog the challenges that they felt they faced in export. Typically, these are the biggest things that come out as how do you compare a large company to a small company. A small company has a deficit of information, and it has much higher transactional costs relative to the rest of it. So if you're a small company, you need to fill out the same forms as a big company does. Often you don't know where to go. You don't have a Vietnamese or Japanese translator in-house that can work it out for you. And it generally costs you more to acquire the information. And we have tried very hard in TPP, and we will try very hard in TTIP to address these through transparency rules that require posting of all customs forms easily available on the internet in English whenever possible, and through a dedicated small business chapter that will create a website that small businesses can go to for all the information they need and with points of contact in each TPP country to ask any questions or get answers to any